event here. And, Larry, they've come to see, I think, whether Damon Bradshaw can recover the form that took him to 5 of 6 victories early in the season. You said throughout that period, look out for the Hondas. We haven't seen the best of them yet. I'm wondering how you think the power struggle shakes down as we come to Indy.
Well, first, I don't think we're going to see Damon Bradshaw recover his form because, frankly, he never lost it. The Honda guys have picked up the pace a little bit, and they're now riding with Bradshaw. Now, if Bradshaw wants to dominate the second half of the season like he did the first, he's going to have to pick up the pace and equal them out. And I don't think that he can do that. I don't think anyone could do that. I think we're looking at a 3-rider battle from here on out. Because if Bradshaw tries to pick it up, he's going to find himself on the ground. And I don't think he wants to be there. He wants the championship. Look for it to go to one of 3 guys, and we're going to have a fight right to the end.
He says it's going to be a battle. I wonder if the 3-time Supercross champ Bob Hanna would agree with that. He's standing by on the floor of the Hoosier Dome.
Thanks, Dave. The way I see the second half of this Supercross series shaping up is a lot like the first half, and that's with Damon Bradshaw in a commanding lead. Sure, the Team Honda riders, Jean-Michel Bale and Jeff Stanton, have both won races now, but I think that's exactly what Damon Bradshaw needed to take the pressure off. I can tell you from experience, the only way out of a large winning streak is to lose a few. Now Damon can take the rest of these races one at a time and put this Supercross series in the record books where it belongs. Back to you, Dave.
Well, I sense a disagreement between the guy on the floor, Bob Hanna, and the guy in the booth, Larry Myers. He says Yamaha, and you say Honda.
Well, what does Bob Hanna know? He's only, a 3-time Supercross champ, won 27 victories in his career. Who are you going to go with, Hanna or I?
Neither one. I'm going to say that Mike LaRocco will win in his hometown here tonight in Indianapolis. We're going to take a look right now at the battleground on which this race will be contested.
And what a battleground it is, Dave. An exceptionally long starting straightaway with a big breaker bump in the middle. But that's only part of it. This track is tricky and treacherous. Earlier, Mike LaRocco, the hometown favorite, rode a lap. Our cameras caught him. Take a look at that big step-up jump. Look at him sweeping across. That's going to be a high-flying triple. In fact, he did it right there in practice with a wave to the crowd. A lot of airtime on this racetrack. At the same time, though, it is extremely tough.
Showing off a little for the hometown folks. Mike LaRocco, new to Team Kawasaki this year, won the series opener in Orlando and is the only real Indiana star in this series. So he's very popular as we come here to the Hoosier stage.
You know, you put one rider on a Supercross track and have him go around at a relaxed pace, and it doesn't look all that tough. But the moguls that he's negotiating are like 3 foot deep, and when you're out there at speed with riders on the right, riders on the left, like right there, then heading up to the jumps, oh, it is extremely difficult, and this is one of the toughest in the country.
Indeed, as LaRocco comes to the finish line jump, you may note that he's wearing a radio. The idea was he described the course to the fans. 2 bumps in, he tore the radio apart. Now, Hanna says this section of the racetrack is a special challenge.
You're right, Dave. We're talking a real good spectator jump here, but not a real good rider's jump. Pretty dangerous. You leave from a high jump. The riders can't see the slower riders landing. Nobody can see the landing ramp till they're already in the air. It's a little hard to make up your mind, well, I'm going over here to the left, and then there's somebody there when you're landing. If the landing doesn't get you, 15 feet later, you've got a 180 to the left. If there's a slower rider there when you come down, you got a big problem missing them.
All in all, a challenging battleground for tonight. We'll be back with highlights of the qualifying heat races right after this. The top stars of Supercross making their first appearance in Indiana's Hoosier Dome. And there is the 2-time series champ Jeff Stanton preparing for the qualifying heat race. He and his Honda teammate Jean-Michel Bale have become the new stars of a series dominated early on by Damon Bradshaw. There's Bale, the defending series champion. Will you look at this? 50,000 plus fans for the very first appearance of the series here. We'll go back and take a look at the action from the qualifying heat races and remind you that the top 4 finishers go straight to the main event. To the charge to turn number 1, and sure enough, it's Jeff Stanton who gets the whole shot. Doggone if it isn't his teammate Jean-Michel Bale who gets out right alongside it. Number 2 and number 1 looking each other over. Do they want to be in the same heat race, or would they rather be in separate heats?
I don't think Jeff Stanton would like to be in the same heat race. I really think that Jean-Michel Bale, it really doesn't matter to him, and probably Jean-Michel Bale prefers it that way. He's the kind of rider that's very sneaky, very quiet, but loves to dominate and show that domination.
Jeff Emig is your third third-place rider, actually battling with number 5, Guy Cooper. That's a Yamaha Suzuki shootout. Now joined by number 10, Larry Ward. Look at Ward coming around the outside on the gas.
Boy, Ward snuck up on him. They didn't know he was there. He just kind of cut Cooper off and was gone through that corner. Good move on Ward's part. Here comes Cooper right back. Look at this. Cooper, whoa, and did he get shut out there?
Emig came out of that as the big winner. The teenage star of Team Yamaha puts the 2 Suzukis behind him. This is the critical battle because this is 3rd, 4th, and 5th positions, and only 3rd and 4th are going to stay alive and go to the main. Up front, Jean-Michel Bale, an enigma in 1992. A lot of people wondering about his motivation, wondering how hard he's willing to work for this championship. Emig's working hard on those Suzukis.
Yeah, it's not only Emig, it's Guy Cooper and Larry Ward that are battling each other just as we have a teammate battle up front. Dave, have you noticed often when we have teammates going at it, they seem to ride harder than when the other teammate isn't present?
Obviously, no team orders here other than don't knock each other down.
It's my understanding that is a caution.
A teammate is just one of the things that can cause you to fall. Take a look at number 5, Guy Cooper, as he comes down and goes right over the handlebar. I think that's worth another look. One of life's little embarrassing moments.
Now watch Guy Cooper. The nose just kind of barreled into or got in between a couple of whoops there. Just off of the timing is all it was, and Cooper ended up going down. And it looked like an easy crash, but Cooper evidently running a handlebar into his leg. He's limping as he gets up.
So Jean-Michel Bale begins to stretch his lead over Jeff Stanton, and the race for 3rd, 4th, and 5th is broken up, and now Larry Ward runs off the racetrack in the battle that nobody wants to win.
That's, of course, the battle for the final qualifying position. And you would think, Dave, they would be lined up to take that one as Jean-Michel Bale takes the checkered flag.
Stanton saw that he couldn't match Bale's pace and let him go. Emig got 3rd. Ward did hang on for that transfer position. Let's go trackside with Bob Hanna and hear from the winner.
Jean-Michel, a win last week, a nice ride in this qualifier. Do you think you'll do good in the main tonight here in the Hoosier Dome?
I think so. If I have a good start, I think I can win the race. And I feel very good, and the track is very nice, so I feel very good today.
Was Jeff pushing you at a high rate there?
Yeah, he was riding very fast, but, you know, Jeff rides a little bit more always in the main event, so I have to watch him.
Thanks a lot.
In heat number 2, we'll see Damon Bradshaw, the series leader. With 5 wins this year, he is a much more consistent man than he was a year ago. We asked his fellow riders about the new Damon Bradshaw.
Yeah, I'd say he's stronger, consistent, and more cautious now. Damon's a young, determined rider.
Older, smoother, smarter. He's aggressive, and he's fast, and he's on top of his game right now.
Wild redneck.
That was from his teammate, Doug Tubach.
All right. With that, we'll go to the highlights of heat number 2 and see how the Wild Redneck does against competition that will not include his 2 primary rivals for the championship. The Hondas were in the first heat. Here's the launch. And not a great start for Bradshaw. Indeed, it will be number 17, Jeremy McGrath, who takes the lead. That's an impressive move by the young Californian, who's actually a 125 rider. And the challenge comes from Mike Kudrowski, the 125 national champion.
A pair of 125 riders that are doing the damage out there in heat race number 2. McGrath, of course, riding in that 125 Western Regional Series, trying to get a little teeth cutting in the 250s. And here is Damon Bradshaw working through the pack.
Working against Doug Dubach, coincidentally, and they are side by side for 5th and 6th positions. Ahead of them, the 2 Kawasaki teammates, Mike LaRocco and number 9, Jeff Matasevich. And should Damon Bradshaw get to Matasevich, I expect we'll anticipate fireworks. Here's LaRocco getting around Matasevich, and that means Bradshaw will be the next man to take a shot at him. Bradshaw and Matasevich are old rivals.
Are they ever? They've had some minor and major conflicts on the racetrack and have knocked each other down a time or 2.
I'm impressed with McGrath, number 17. He rides the Western Regionals, as you noted, out in the 125 class. Tonight he's racing the 250 against the big guys, and he's doing very well.
He's doing extremely well. Now, how long he can keep that pace up aboard a 250 is the question mark. Younger riders really do not have the strength or experience, and that's why they're out there. Here he is getting passed by LaRocco, almost as if he moved over and let LaRocco by. I assure you, though, that was not the case.
Keep in mind that LaRocco, of course, is running running for a championship here. McGrath knows his place. He's not in contention for any major Supercross honors. Look at Damon Bradshaw come around Jeremy. He's headed for the front.
Let me ask you, was that a wild redneck move when he made that pass?
I'll tell you, the kid is a spectacular thing to watch. There have been predictions all year long that his luck would run out, that one of those spectacular moves would bite him, but so far he's kept himself off the ground for the most part.
Well, this was a spectacular heat race, Dave. First, we have a pair of Kawasaki's out front beating up on each other, then Bradshaw trying to take the measure of both of them. And when we talk about wild redneck moves, we're going to have one coming up in just as short.
Here's LaRocco taking the inside line. Kudrowski comes back, but not in time, drops to second, and there is the move. Big jump by Bradshaw. He jumped right into the back of number 3, Mike Kudrowski, as Kudrowski bobbled a little on the jump. How'd you see it,
watch this. Kudrowski is coming up short on the jump. See there? He didn't make it. Bradshaw was committed, and there was no way he could get out of that. He come down on Kudrowski's rear fender. He was spit off the motorcycle, and looking at it there, Kudrowski gives him a cross body block. It looked like he was clipping him, actually. Bradshaw got the worst of the deal as they try to untangle the motorcycles. He says, I'm okay, but he was hurt.
LaRocco becomes the leader by default. Nobody left to challenge him here as Damon Bradshaw ends up in the semifinal. And you can see he's a pretty beat-up puppy. Kudrowski is determined he's going to get back into the race here, and finally does. In fact, he lasted only a lap before retiring. For LaRocco, it's an easy runaway victory in the heat race after his primary rivals hit the dirt. And there's Damon Bradshaw headed back to the pits for repairs, and he'll have to ride the semifinal.
You notice the motorcycle was at a funny angle as they pushed it through that pit area.
We'll send Bob Hanna down to find out more about what has happened there. In the meantime, we'll watch LaRocco come to the checkered flag, reminiscent of his salute to the fans during the parade lap. And Jeremy McGrath.com will hang on for second spot. This kid is really going to be something. You'll see a lot of him next year. Dubach and Fisher round out the transfer spots. Let's hear first from the winner with Bob Hanna.
Mike, nice ride for the hometown crowd. You're lucky you didn't get in that crash. Did you see what happened?
No, I didn't. I came around right after I passed Mike, and there was nobody there, so I kind of wondered what happened.
It was a good race for a while, a little easy in the end.
Yeah, with Damon and Mike going down, there was nobody really there to push me, so I just went out there and had a little fun.
How about the main event? You think you'll make it your second for the year?
Yeah, I hope so. I feel real good tonight. It's kind of more of the dirt that I like to ride on, and practice in my heat race is going real good. Hopefully I can keep it up for the main.
Good luck in the main.
Thanks, Bob.
Well, it may have gone well for LaRocco, but it didn't go so well for his teammate. They're trying to straighten out the bike, Mike Kudrowski, and as that struggle continues, we will get the opportunity to hear both sides of the story of what happened.
Delicate tuning going on.
Yeah, right. This is precision work. Meanwhile, Bob Hanna's with Mike Kudrowski.
Mike, I don't think you had much to say about that qualifier crash. Tell us a little bit about it. We couldn't see it all.
Yeah, well, Mike LaRocco was coming up behind me, and he passed me just before the finish line jump, and I kind of dove underneath him. When we went up the finish line jump, he kind of cut over on me a little bit, and when we took off, I didn't want to clip his back wheel in the air, so I kind of let off a little. And when I was landing on the finish line jump, Bradshaw flew and landed right on the back of me. And his bike kind of, I don't know, it got caught on mine and ripped his throttle open. And it was wide open, and the bike was spinning around. I was kind of on his bike, and I got a little bit on my arm and stuff, but we both ended up not finishing, so it looks like we'll be in the semi.
It looks like it'll be a good semi race.
Yeah, I think it will be.
Well, good luck.
Thank you.
There's some concern about David Bradshaw's health as he left the racetrack. Bob Hanna has this report from the Yamaha pit.
Bad night for Damon Bradshaw. Qualifying crash. Luckily, he's not hurt, but the bike is severely damaged. The mechanics are trying to get it back together now for the semi.
Now, those semis are going to be action-packed. We'll have the We're back in Indianapolis, the first of two semis. We'll take a look at the highlights. Man of the hour is Guy Cooper. You saw the crash in the heat race that relegated him to this 10-lapper here, from which we will take the top 5 finishers into the championship main event. Cooper, I would think, would be the favorite as they launched out into turn number 1. That's not Cooper who gets the hole shot. That's Sean Kalos out front.
Kalos has been kind of an up and down rider, mostly up this year, Dave. A youngster. Did a lot of riding in Europe a couple of years ago, now back on the U.S. circuit. And each race he gets progressively better.
You've seen these highlights. Up and down rider. Wait till you see what's coming up for Kalos. Number 5, Cooper moves in, puts pressure on him. And the guy's not 100%.
No, he's not. In that crash that we showed earlier, the handlebar whipping around caught Cooper in the thigh, and he has a badly bruised thigh. Nothing serious, nothing to keep him out of it, but here comes the crash with, look at that. Ooh. Boy, that's the down part. He was up just a second ago. No one hurt. Watch this. He just kind of gets it off balance. He loses it a little bit there. The front wheel noses into that whoop section. He had no chance to recover from that. Once you lose them, once they start going in that direction, you can't bring them back. Best thing you can do is try to get your legs up out of the way and protect yourself. And Kalos did that. He's out of this semifinal event.
You see Cooper's lead here as he stretches out a pretty good advantage.
And the rider that he has the advantage over, one of the few non-Japanese motorcycles in the field, that's Keith Johnson. There's Cliff Palmer, but Johnson aboard a KTM from Austria.
It's a KTM versus a Suzuki here as they have at it. Cliff Palmer comes out of the Arena Cross Series where he has recently locked up the championship. It's a sort of miniaturized version of Supercross. And we also get glimpses of Jeff Glass back there. Here is Jeff Ward, senior citizen on the tour, making his Richard Petty-style farewell tour and looking like a young kid as he sings around the outside of Glass.
You see him make moves like that, and you have to ask yourself, why is he retiring? He still goes extremely fast.
He has hit the big 3-0, and Jeff says that's enough. He's been racing motorcycles for 26 of his 30 years and figures it's time to move on to some automobile racing. Checkered flag for Cooper as he wins the semifinal with the best clicker of the night. That's pretty. Here's the second place finish for Keith Johnson. Palmer will claim the 3rd spot. Remember, we're taking 5 into the semifinal, so Ward and Glass will also make the cut. Let's go trackside to Bob Hanna with Guy Cooper.
Guy Cooper, you haven't been in the winner's circle a lot lately, but you look good there, and you look good in that qualifier. How's it feel?
Well, I'm feeling a little bit sore. I crashed in the heat race and popped my knee real hard on the handlebars. So I got a good start there, and it's kind of one-line track. So if you get a good start and you hang in there and ride consistent, it's possible to win this thing. So I'm just looking forward to a good start and staying on 2 wheels.
We saw that crash. I'm surprised you're riding it all. Is it hard to get back on a bike when you're hurt like that?
Well, I put it on ice for about 5 or 10 minutes and got up and walked around on it some, but I had to have my mechanic start the bike. And there's a lot you can take whenever the gate drops, though. So walking around, I'm all moaning and saying, oh, I can't ride. But when the gate drops, you know, you can do a lot.
Guy Cooper feels a little better on a motorcycle, and he does walk it anyway, doesn't he?
Yeah, I like the wheels.
Thanks a lot. Good luck in the main, guy.
Thanks, Bob.
There's one tough character right there. We go to the highlights of the second semifinal. Will it be a Bradshaw-Kedrowski rematch? Well, not if Bradshaw has his way. He jumps out front. Big pileup is the story of this one. As you can see, number 9, Jeff Matasevich, who hoped to be up mixing it up with the leaders, is instead stuck back in the ruck. And here they are out front. Number 4, number 3.
One of the riders we saw getting away from that pileup, keep your eye on that, remember that name rather, number 23 was Ron Tishner. He'll actually make it into the main event, top 5 riders. Bradshaw, though, pulling clear of the pack.
Bradshaw gets away from Kedrowski early, and that was the game plan after the tangle in which they both took a pretty good lick. And for Bradshaw, this one was pretty much a cakewalk all the way to the checkered flag. Kedrowski was a very, very distant second-place finisher, both comfortably into the championship main event, along with Mark Musselman, Tishner, and Todd DeHoop. And now here's Bob Hanna with the winner, Damon Bradshaw.
Damon, that was a nice ride. You look fantastic. We saw you working on the bike a lot. How was the bike?
That was okay. We got to go back and adjust a couple things, but other than that, everything was okay.
Riding this semi, is that a disadvantage to you or an advantage?
No, it really doesn't matter. You know, it's just a little more time on the track, but, you know, at least I get to go out there and try not to crash one time.
All the best to you in the main, Damon.
Thanks a lot.
right, Bradshaw safely in the main. Jeff Matasevich still has to work his way into the feature after the crash that dropped him out of the semifinal. The lead battle early is Kyle Valencourt, number 57, squared off against Chuck Reed. And look at Matasevich come through the traffic. An all-Kawasaki show up front, and clearly a Jeff Matasevich runaway.
Matasevich finding all of the good lines, and why not? That's what factory guys are paid to do. One of the two, though, either Reed or Valencourt, will make it into the main event, Dave, and of course that is the privateer's dream. In this case, it's going to be Valencourt. Matasevich has no trouble with that inside line. Makes the pass, takes the win.
Matasevich, the Californian, and Valencourt, the Canadian, will thus head for the championship main event. Last two men to make the 20-man final. And we're going to be back with all the highlights of the 125 championship main event. Big crowd on hand tonight for AMA Supercross in Indianapolis.
Morning breath.
As soon as I have my coffee, it's all gone.
Bobby the Brain, what are you doing at the Supercross race?
Well, I thought WrestleMania 8 was right here, April 5th. I got here early, and I'll tell you something. This is fantastic. I've never seen anything like this. It's just like WrestleMania. You're going to see bodies flying, but without motors.
We see all kinds at Supercross.
Huh? What?
I guess everybody's got to have a job. These guys' job is to win the 125 main event here tonight. They are the survivors of the qualifying heat race, and they all have the same assignment. Try to beat Brian Swink. Winner of 4 of the first 5 races in this series. Swink finally lost one last time out. Hey, Brian, no luck at all last week in Charlotte.
No, I didn't win, but I gained points. Henry fell down. I gained more points. So I'm just going to go and try to win the next 3. And if I win the next 3, I'll be done 2 races early.
Well, an early title clinch by Swink is exactly what Jimmy Button is trying to prevent. He's the man who won last week.
I've been riding pretty good the last few weeks, and to get a win under my belt, just proved to me that I can go out there and I can beat everybody. It helps a lot mentally, so I think this weekend should be pretty good.
Well, it's going to be a Jimmy Button, Brian Swink showdown here tonight. At least that's what the fans are anticipating as the 125s come to the gate for the main event. The launch of the charge down into turn number 1. We'll show you the highlights here of the 125 action, or if you're one of these guys stuck in the back, the lowlights of a long night in the Hoosier Dome. This was, in fact, not the most exciting race of the entire season, but it did have moments. Number 54, jumping out front, is Mike Brown, and he's battling Brian Swink for the lead, and he and Swink have a link that's worth talking about.
Indeed, they do. Brian Swink won the championship 1 year ago, and there is Brian Swink aboard a Pro Circuit Peak Antifreeze Honda, now switching to the Suzuki, and when he left Pro Circuit Peak Antifreeze, his ride was picked up by Mike Brown, 54.
Here is the Swink-Button battle we anticipated, although for the moment they are stuck behind Brown, the leader. Nonetheless, these are the 2 guys everyone figures might be factors in the championship. Doug Henry is the 3rd member of that group. Looky here. On his head, showing off for the crowd, lost the front wheel. Brown's on the ground.
Brown is indeed on the ground. Watch this. He's a little bit sideways off that jump, and he just doesn't get it straightened around. I've often wondered what would happen if the rider didn't bring it back in time, and there's an example.
There's the answer, and here's your new leaders. Brian Swink out front, and now being challenged by Jimmy Button. And I would think that Button wants to prove last week was no fluke. He's highly motivated.
And at the same time, you can bet that Brian Swink wants to prove that it was a fluke. So there is the basis for a tremendous battle in itself. Forget the points.
Here is the move for the lead by Button, who takes the inside line, coming down into the left-hander, puts a little block on Swink, and says, I'll lead this thing for a while.
Interesting now, what is Brian Swink thinking? One, he's got to be thinking championship, and let's not do anything stupid out here. The second thing is, hey, I was just embarrassed. I'd like to come back and put on a block pass of my own, maybe and show Button just how you do that.
Conflicting emotions for sure, although last week Swink made it very clear that his primary concern is the championship. He won it last year, he wants it again, and so he concedes the victory to number 39, Jimmy Button. Swink will settle for 2nd spot. Doug Henry, number 19, takes 3rd, but that's not enough to keep him in 2nd place in the standings, as we'll see in a moment. Button wins it, Swink 2nd, Henry 3rd. Pedersen and 16-year-old Ezra Lust round out the top 5. Then come young Jeff DeMent, Barry Karsten, Goodman, Edwards, and Brown, finishing the top 10. Let's hear from the winner.
Jimmy Buttons, that's 2 in a row. How you doing that?
Oh, man, this is great. I got a halfway decent start. I caught Brian and Jeremy Sell. I caught him. I put a pass on him. I started to pull away, and then on the next last lap, I almost went down through the woods. It almost cost me the win, but I regrouped. I got my head on straight and just concentrated on that last lap, and it turned out perfect.
You're going to have quite a winning streak going here. Is that going to put the pressure on you for next week?
No, it just helps me feel better about being able to win that race. I know now that I can do it. I've done it 2 weeks in a row, and it just shows me that I'm as good or better as anybody else out there right now.
You look good to me. Good luck next week.
Thank you.
Take a look at the championship standings. Big lead still for Swink over Button, who moves ahead of Henry by the virtue of his second consecutive win. Time to pop the cork here in the Hoosier Dome. Button first on the racetrack, last man to get the cork out, and he may drown before this is all done. The 125 races history. We'll be right back. We're back in Indianapolis. This is a test of Jean-Michel Bayle, for whom testing has been the key to a Honda turnaround. Bob Hanna reports.
Honda's been the dominant motorcycle in Supercross for the past few seasons. In fact, last year they won 9 out of the first 10 events. In '92, there was no reason to believe anything would be different, but it was. Yamaha and Damon Bradshaw stole the thunder. Through the first 8 races, Bradshaw scored 5 wins, while Honda only got 2. And they were a full 6 races into the season before they even got their first win. The obvious question, what happened? The riders were the same. The tracks were the same. Certainly the bikes were the same. Or were they?
Well, 1992, we started with a completely new motorcycle. I think we're starting to work out some of the kinks that we have with the bike. We're starting to get it a little more tuned per rider. And also the competition, I think, came out a little stronger than we expected. I think they worked a little harder at the beginning of the year than maybe we did. And they were ready, and I guess maybe we weren't.
Well, for us, the big difference was that in 91, we had basically the same bike as we had in 1990. And we had all 1990 to sort out the bike and to get good settings and all that. And we started the 91 season with a bike that was proven, and we finished the 90 season really strong. And in 92, we started with a complete new bike that was new from scratch. There was a new chassis, new, complete new engine layout. It obviously needed more testing, more tuning.
I was not, very ready like I was last year, like I was in 91, but I have a lot of race in Europe to do, and I come back from Europe very late, so I know I was not very, very ready, but, I was hoping that it would be enough to win some races.
There aren't any magic buttons to push and dial these motorcycles in or their riders. It's just a lot of hard work and a lot of long testing. That's the way it's always been, and that's the way it's always going to be. Back to you, Dave.
All right, Bob, thank you. 2 wins in a row is impressive. Remember, Bradshaw and the Yamaha won 5 in a row earlier in the year. As the field come to the gate for the main event, you see Mike Morocco getting instructions from his dad on how to win his hometown racetrack. You can really feel the pressure and the tension at this moment as the riders strap them down and get ready for the start.
The start of any Supercross, of course, is extremely critical. We've heard the riders say that. This particular one with 50,000 fans looking on, first time ever in a Hoosier Dome, if you're Mike Morocco, has got to be extra special.
Preparing for the drop of the gate. Engines beginning to rev. Can Bradshaw beat the Hondas and regain his form? We'll know in a moment as number 4 prepares for the launch. The charge to turn number 1. The first man there is Damon Bradshaw, and a huge pileup. Doug Dubach, the one big name involved. His teammate Damon Bradshaw out front early, and most of this season that's been the death knell for the rest of these guys.
And I think they know it. They certainly are not about to let him get away. Jeff Stanton right now has one thing in mind: keep Bradshaw in sight. Now, the question will be whether or not Stanton will strike early or if he will follow Bradshaw. My opinion, Dave, Dave, is he needs to strike and strike quickly because look who is coming.
Number 1 into third spot, Jean-Michel Bale. Number 3, Kedrowski is fourth. And Mike LaRocco, the hometown favorite, runs fifth. As the rest of the field streamed through, you saw Matasevich and Ward, the other two Kawasaki's, deep in the pack. Let's make a note about the 2 Honda victories in the last 2 Supercrosses. Daytona is an oddball. It's nothing like a traditional stadium Supercross track. Jeff Stanton beat Damon Bradshaw there in a hand-to-hand battle. Last week, when Bradshaw lost in Charlotte, it was because of an early crash. He came up through the pack from behind. The Honda still have yet to pass Damon Bradshaw, run him down from behind on this kind of a racetrack. So that's the test they face tonight.
Well, this is the first opportunity that we have had this season to see the top 3 riders in Supercross off the line together, Dave. So I think that's going to tell us something also. This should be an interesting night. Could kind of let us in for what is in store the rest of the season.
And those 4th and 5th place guys are worthy of a call. You saw them a moment ago. Kedrowski and LaRocco carry the Kawasaki hopes in this multi-brand battle. Stanton closes in on the leader, Damon Bradshaw. We'll be right back in the Hoosier Dome. Fritz is number 1 in your frame as he kind of keeps the leaders in sight.
We'll go back and remember what the Honda guys have said. Our motorcycles were not quite ready at the start of the season. We've been working very, very hard on them. 2 weeks ago, all of that work paid off when Stanton won. A week ago at Charlotte, Bale came back and won. And that's what they were saying. We're able now to elevate our riding up to the level of where Damon Bradshaw has been riding. And Dave, at the outset, you remember we talked about that. Can Damon Bradshaw continue to dominate by picking up his pace? And we're watching this, and I really don't see how he can do it.
Well, the payoff comes at the checkered flag. That's when you determine who's got the stuff. Kedrowski, in 4th spot, has been racing with his teammate LaRocco. We get a glimpse of Mike right there. That is the battle for 4th and 5th. Bradshaw keeps Stanton in his sights, and Bale sits back there taking the measure of both of them. And I don't know. This is the guy, Bale, that I always keep my eye on because you never know when he's going to show that little spurt of speed that he always seems to keep in reserve.
Bale has a history, I think we should call it that, of setting back and watching. No, look at this. Here comes Bradshaw right back on the inside. Oh, and he almost took them both out. What a move. Bradshaw almost got the job done, number 1. Number 2, if he didn't get the job done, he'd have knocked Stanton right off the track and him with it. That was a good move, and they are really going at it now.
Looked like he had position there to make the same pass Stanton made earlier. Damon couldn't pull it off. Stanton hangs on, but he's under intense pressure. Bradshaw's after him.
Now, Stanton was a lot lower in that line. I think Bradshaw would have had to have bumped him very hard in order to get him out of that line, Dave.
In an interview right here on ESPN a couple of weeks ago, Damon Bradshaw said Jeff Stanton is one guy he feels comfortable with. They'll go out and race handlebar to handlebar all night long, Bradshaw says, and not have any problems. We'll be back to see who's going to win this battle in the Hoosier Dome. In the interval from first to second, growing a little bit. Bradshaw not only falling off the pace set by Jeff Stanton, but threatening to fall into the clutches of Jean-Michel Bale. It's been a 3-rider battle up front from the get-go. Same 3 guys, but there's been a tremendous amount of action.
Yeah, I think on any given lap, these guys can drop back or gain 2-3 bike lengths. It's a tough track. And Bradshaw seemingly content at this particular point in time to watch the lines of Stanton, try to figure out one other place or 2 other places on the racetrack where maybe he can make a pass, a last-ditch effort, so to speak, Dave.
It is not critical for Damon Bradshaw in terms of points that he win this race tonight. I think it may be critical psychologically.
I think probably that is an astute observation. He's dumped a couple of them here the past couple of weeks to the Honda guys. He doesn't want to lose another one. Here's the battle for the number 4 position. LaRocco in 5th, trying to gain on Mike Kedrowski, or put Kedrowski away, I should say.
Well, LaRocco has been aiming for this event for the last couple of weeks. He comes from South Bend, Indiana, about an hour and a half up the road. He is definitely geared up for the Hoosier Dome action tonight, but he's been stuck in 5th from the drop of the game, and I'm sure he's disappointed by that.
I'm sure he is, too. Now, we're watching teammates again. We touched upon this briefly, and I would guarantee you that 2-3 times LaRocco would have passed had Kedrowski. There he makes the pass. But the point being, earlier in the race, he could have made the pass by going to a block pass or a little bump and run. But they just don't do that with teammates, and you got to wonder if that doesn't hurt them in the long run.
You can hear the cheer of the crowd as he went by. LaRocco is up to 4th. Stanton, number 2, is your leader. And right now, you can see no sign of Damon Bradshaw. This has become, at least for the moment, a one-man show. Jeff Stanton trying to win his second race in 3 starts. There's the gap back to Damon Bradshaw, who has fallen off the pace for the moment. And here is Jean-Michel Bale slowly closing it up. He who won a week ago in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Damon Bradshaw is a long way, and there you see him gaining. He can gain at will. It's making the pass that is a problem. And I'd say that we're looking at maybe holding off until the latter laps. Why make the pass now when you know that Stanton's going to come right back and hammer on you one more time? I think probably he's content, as long as Bale doesn't pass him, Dave, to set in that number 2 position.
A lap ago, he was 20, 30 yards behind Stinky. 11 laps. You translate that?
I think, Dave, that's where they're going to have dinner tonight. It's a famous place up the road, Stinky's Food and Grill. I really don't know what that means.
That is Brian Lunas, Damon Bradshaw's mechanic, indicating whatever it is he is indicating here as his man follows the leader by about 4 to 5 bike lengths. Now, you can see they are beginning to work through lap traffic, and that could be critical. One bobble by a lapper could change the outcome of this race, but in Supercross, the lap guys have learned to anticipate when the fast guys are coming, and they do a pretty good job of staying out of the way.
On occasion, you'll see a blue flag, and that's what that blue flag indicates. You are being lapped. Get out of the way. Let the guy come through.
Bradshaw hard on the gas. Always seems to close up right in that section of the racetrack. Here is Danny Bentley, whom you heard earlier, and see, he's signaling the lap riders to let them know the fast guys are coming. He looks a little frustrated.
He's just direct. He needs a uniform and a whistle, and he'd be all set, wouldn't he?
Put him in an orange vest out there. Get those slow guys out of the way. Now they have clear track. Stanton leading, Bradshaw chasing. It is the battle that many people anticipated coming into this 1992 season. Damon Bradshaw appeared to have made that discussion history as he dominated early on. But now Stanton and his teammate Bale have come to life. They are within 16 points of the series leader Damon Bradshaw as we come to the Hoosier Dome in Indianapolis.
Well, this one is far from over. Damon Bradshaw drops back again, but he seemingly is able to pull up to Stanton at will. And again, Dave, I'll point out, I think that he is waiting until the last couple 3 laps before he makes a really hard charge and tries to take over that number 1 spot.
Stanton is, Bradshaw's in trouble. Bradshaw with an unbelievable end-over-end crash. Bradshaw is off the track. This is the motorcycle. Bradshaw is on the far side of the racetrack, and he came off a ton.
There he is. He's standing up. That's Keith McCarty. No, that's one of the other Yamaha team members over there with him, or crew members. Bradshaw got up quickly and is shaking it off. It's hard. With that brief glimpse, we're going to have to go back and take another look at it, but Bradshaw looked like he lost control up in the air and just nosedived into the ground.
He is out of the race. Bradshaw is making no effort to get back into action. Bradshaw is going to lose the championship point lead in Indianapolis after an unbelievable smash-up. He went over the handlebars, tried dramatically to save it. Take another look.
Here he is. He'll cop up. There he is. Look, he's off the motorcycle. He tries to get off the bike, and it looked like maybe the bike come around and bounced off of Bradshaw while they were down in that little valley. Bradshaw actually got off the motorcycle before it landed, but the results were the same. He got wound up and twisted with the motorcycle, and he doesn't know whether to hold his leg or his ribs. And look there, looks like maybe his ankle. He's going to get back on the motorcycle.
He would probably, his first reaction would be to try to get back into the race and save some points if it's at all possible. I don't know if he's going to try to go back out or not. His team technician there checking out the bike. I think he's going to give it a shot.
He is indeed. Otherwise, he'd be sitting there. I guarantee it. That was Bob Oliver, one of the Yamaha mechanics, and I think Bob was trying to talk him out of it. But Bradshaw just going to feel it out a little bit. Meanwhile, Jeff Stanton and Jean-Michel Bale running back in that number 2 position. They're going to gain a pile of points.
Will Jean-Michel Bale perhaps come up and put a move on Jeff Stanton? In any case, Damon Bradshaw is out there struggling for whatever points he can get, and Jeff Stanton is in the driver's seat here in the Hoosier Dome. It's a Honda 1-2 run up front. We'll be right back. In Indianapolis, Indiana, Dave Despain and Larry Myers with AMA Camel Supercross competition here on ESPN, and what a dramatic night it has been. Jeff Stanton, the 2-time series champ, leads the race. His race-long pursuer, Damon Bradshaw, has crashed out of the event and out of the championship point lead. Now, Damon has come back to try to gather whatever points he can. But now Jean-Michel Bayle, number 1, is the only pursuer for Jeff Stanton. Earlier today, Bob Hanna talked to Stanton and asked him about the possibilities that he could come back and win this championship.
I just need to be real consistent from here on out. Stay on top of that bike, not be on the ground, and be beating them consistently. Both JMB and Bradshaw. There's more than one person out there. There's more than just them. So, but I feel good. I know I can do it.
Well, confidence is one of the keys to this business, and Stanton has a lot more reason to be confident now that there's no Damon Bradshaw behind him. Jean-Michel Bayle is there. I'm curious as to whether Stanton knows that Bradshaw has crashed.
Well, I'm certain that he knows that Bradshaw is no longer there. His mechanic, Dan Bentley, would have told him that. A simple sign. It would have said 4 out, and that was the signal to him. Probably does not know what happened to him.
Meanwhile, Bentley will continue to monitor progress with the stopwatch here to make sure that Stanton maintains the pace and keeps Jean-Michel Bayle at bay. This is all very reminiscent of a year ago, Larry, when Jeff Stanton was involved in the middle of a championship battle and had a big crash at the Pontiac Silverdome that cost him the opportunity to win the championship. Too early to know yet what has happened to Damon Bradshaw. We will be sending Bob Hanna off to get the outcome of this crash. But
well, you know, Damon Bradshaw did go back out on the racetrack. He rode about half a lap, and he pulled into the mechanics area, and from that point just went on off the racetrack. So you know, we could be looking at a Stanton situation. We'll have to find out when this race is over how serious the injury actually is.
Stanton pushing pretty hard. He got out of shape in that left-hander right there, and Bayle is closing within striking distance. I haven't seen the spirited attack that would foretell a passage yet, but Jean-Michel has definitely picked up the pace.
And now we know why Stanton is pushing harder. Indeed, he has picked up the pace. Stanton cast a quick look to his left through that corner, and all he saw was that blue number plate with the number 1 on it. He's not seen that the entire evening.
We have no reason at this point to believe that Damon Bradshaw would be hurt badly enough to miss races, but if he is, finish position between these two riders could be very, very critical in determining the outcome of the championship. They looked like they were going to be in a two-man battle all the way last year. As they enter the white flag lap, Bayle is there and looks like he might want to make a move.
He's making the move, all right. He's looking for new lines to get around Stanton. That was not a good one. He got just a little squirrely in that corner. Stanton had a good drive around the outside and actually lengthened that lead just a hair.
Stanton knows he's there. Stanton's going to keep him at bay. I think it'll be the miracle pass if Bayle comes up and startles him with a last lap move to win this race. They appeared to be neck and neck for the championship a year ago until Stanton got hurt. That left Bayle to go on and take the crown. Inconsistency was the story of Damon Bradshaw. This year, Bradshaw started out hot, but the Hondas have come back. This will be their second consecutive sweep, as number 2 Jeff Stanton has Bayle in control and will turn for home and win the Hoosier Dome Supercross. Stanton's second win in 3 starts. Bayle takes the runner-up spot, and the headline story on this one will be big crash for Bradshaw. So the series champ comes up to congratulate his teammate who has won it tonight. We'll be back with the aftermath in a moment. It is a heyday for Honda in the Hoosier Dome. The AMA Camel Supercross in Indianapolis is over. Stanton and Bayle have swept it. LaRocco, the hometown boy, comes home third. Kudrowski and Cooper round out the top 5. McGrath, Emig, Ward, Matasevich, and Fisher the top 10. Let's hear from Jeff Stanton.
That's a great ride in the main. That's your second win of the year. I heard you say earlier you're here to stay, Jeff.
Yeah, definitely. I've come from behind before to win championships, so I'm here. I feel good. The bikes are working great. I'm working great.
Point system working good for you now?
Yeah, apparently. I don't know what happened to Damon. He fell off or something, so I haven't had a chance to see what goes on. But at this stage in the game, points don't mean anything. I just want to go out and win races.
Race per race, you thinking about each race individually, or are you thinking about the series?
Race by race. If I'm winning race by race, that's all that matters, and I'll win the championship. If I think about the series, I'll do something stupid, fall off, or not thinking about the right things. I'm worried about the race.
Well, you look great tonight. I hope you some good luck in Tampa next week.
Thanks.
Take a look at these standings. Stanton and Bayle are tied, 4 up on Bradshaw, who is with Bob Hanna.
Damon, we couldn't see all that out there on the triple jump. Lapped riders or what?
Well,
once I was committed, there was a guy in the way, and I couldn't tell if I was going to land on him or not, so I tried to pull out of my rut, you know, to miss the guy. And when I did, my back tire just stayed where it was going. My front wheel went another direction, and you know, I ended up over the triples and I didn't have no choice but to step off, so that's what I did, and now I'm sitting in the pits.
I should be a little points disadvantage, but if the wrist is all right, you think you can be back next week?
Yeah, I think so. If my wrist is not injured, I'll definitely be back. You know, I was down, I was ahead 16 points, so probably be behind maybe 10, I guess. I don't know.
Well, good luck with that wrist, Damon.
Thank you.
A major turning point. Damon Bradshaw will go to the X-ray room. The Honda guys go to victory lane, and that's the story of the Hoosier Dome tonight, Larry.
And what a story. Unfortunately, only a happy ending for the Honda camp. For Team Yamaha, they have to go back and collect their thoughts and see how they measure up, how the wrist is. We've got a three-way battle, Dave. That's all I can say from here on out.
A three-way battle and a long way to go. This is round 9. 7 races remain. We'll be off to Tampa, Florida next week as the Camel Supercross Trail continues. For Bob Hurricane Hanna and Larry Myers, I'm Dave Despain. So long from Indianapolis.